Hello, what's up, people? Welcome back to the video. And today we are going to talk about the accommodation in Naples. And we are going to talk about how the accommodation works in Naples and how the scholarship accommodation works and how can you get it. And later I'm going to answer some of the questions that were asked by the students in through Instagram or some of the YouTube comments. So I've listed all of them down and let's get into it. So how the accommodation works in Naples. Basically, accommodation is of two types, which is the private one and the scholarship accommodation. For the private one, you have to search for a house using Idealista, Immobiliare, and other websites. You can search them online, and there are some particular apps, websites, and you can search on the internet and you can get some houses accordingly. So, how much does this cost? They start from 250 euros and can range up to 300, 400, 500, 600 euros per month, which includes just a bed and a kitchen and a bathroom. It doesn't mean that if you pay the 600 euros, if it is 600 euro or 250 euro, you will be getting the whole house for yourself. No, it's not going to work like this. It's just you'll get a bedroom and a kitchen and a bathroom. So that's how it works. I made a clear video on how to find a house in the Naples or in general in Italy using these websites. So if you want, you can check them out. I'll leave a link in the description. These houses are hard to get and you have to pay a lot of money in the initial phases, but this is how you have to live. So you cannot rely on the hostel accommodation that was provided by the scholarship office. Initially, you have to rely on the private accommodation, which you have to find it in the initial days. So then what about the accommodation which is provided by the scholarship? How do you get it? So this scholarship accommodation will be allotted to you after you get the first installment of the money. It's not like you will get it directly after you come here. So when you apply for the scholarship, you can directly choose the hostel that you want to live in. This selection of your hostel will be saved, and then after you get the first payment, according to the ranking and the vacancy in the particular hostel, you'll be getting into a particular hostel. So that's how this scholarship accommodation work. So apart from the private accommodation that we were talking before, let's talk about the scholarship accommodation that was provided by the scholarship office. You can apply for the hostel accommodation when you apply for the scholarship itself. So when you fill the application in the website, you can choose the particular hostel that you want to live in. So once you do this, there will be a criteria in which they will be providing a ranking to each student according to their income level. I've explained this in the previous video. I'll leave a link in the description if you have want to see according to the family composition certificate that you will be providing to the scholarship office. This according to this value you'll be provided into the ranking. So according to the ranking you'll be allotted into the hostel. So if I'm poorer than you, I'll be getting the hostel first, and then after me you'll be having the hostel. So don't worry about the selection of the hostel. The selection of the hostel can be changed later also. So don't worry about the selection of the hostel. You can choose it anytime you want after you go to Italy. So what do you get in a hostel? I'll explain in short what do you get in a hostel. So in the hostel you'll be having single room and double rooms. And mostly if you choose the single room, you might get a single room because they are very short and very high in competition. So and they're very less, so you might not get a single room. So mostly people choose a double room, and if you get a double room you'll be sharing a room with one of the students just like you, and you'll have an attached bathroom and you will have common kitchens, gym and a common area to relax. And for the single room you will be living in a single room, and you'll be sharing the washroom with two or three people. It depends on the hostel itself. And there are some hostels, if you live in a single room, you'll be having your kitchen, you'll be having your bedroom, bathroom all for yourself. So it depends from hostel to hostel. They were not all designed and constructed in the same way. They were just hostels in different areas which were taken by the scholarship office and being maintained by the particular scholarship office. So don't expect everything of the same in the hostels. You're lucky if you get a hostel. So that's all about the accommodation stuff. Let me answer some questions that were asked by the students in the Instagram and YouTube. So the first question is about, do I get the accommodation right away? No, you're not getting the accommodation right away because there is a procedure to get the accommodation. See, first you will be coming to the Naples. You have to stay no matter what in any kind of private accommodation. It could be a dormitory, you can rent a house or something, but you have to do this in the initial phase. And then later, after you get the scholarship, which is the first installment of the money that which you get it, and then later you can get an accommodation ranking. So there will be no official posting of the ranking, but they will send mails according to the students who are in the ranking, and they according to the priority they choose and the availability of the particular rooms. So this is how it works. So it is going to be a long process, And I know some students who still haven't got the hostel, so which were who came with me from the last 2 years. They're not getting any hostel, and some doesn't choose to stay in the hostel. So that's all with this question. So you're not getting the hostel right away. You have to wait for it at least for 1 or 2 months. If you're lucky enough, you'll be getting it instantly. If not, you have to wait. And later, what are the perks of staying in hostel? So the first advantage of the staying in a hostel is saving money. The first one is saving money, because the anywhere you go in the private accommodation, you have to pay around 250, 350, or much more. But the hostel accommodation will cost you much less, which is 160 euros or 200 euros depending on the hostel and depending on the room that you're renting on. So you can save the scholarship money, and you can send the money if you want, or you can spend it, or you can travel or do something, use the money for some kind of important works. So this is the first advantage of staying in a hostel. And apart from that, since if you are living in a hostel, you can see most of the students who are from international students, so you can get a lot of international exposure. It could be Pakistanis, it could be Iranians, it could be anyone from the other states. It doesn't matter, but you'll have the exposure of different countries. So the third advantage of staying in hostel is about having a food coupon for twice a day. See, for example, every student who studies in a university in Naples or generally in Italy will have a food coupon, and you can use this and eat anywhere in the restaurant. Not every restaurant, but there will be some selected restaurants you can eat there for almost for free, or you have to pay at least 1 or 2 euros. Paying 1 or 2 euros for lunch or dinner is very cheap in abroad countries, because anywhere you go you have to pay at least 5 euros to eat. So depending on the dish you order, you can use the food coupon and have your lunch or dinner being a student. But for the students who live in a hostel, have the advantage of using the coupon twice a day. If I'm a student who doesn't have the hostel accommodation, I can use the coupon only once in a day, maybe in the lunch or the dinner. But if I'm a student who has the hostel accommodation, I can use the food coupon for twice a day. This food coupon can be used from an app, that you'll be knowing it later after you come here, and then this can be used and you can eat twice a day. So that's all with the food. If you don't like to go to the restaurant, you'll have the kitchens in the hostel, so you can cook whatever dish you want and you can eat it. There is one more question which is related to food, which is, will they provide us food in the hostel? So there's no kind of mess facility or food that is being provided inside the hostel. There will be it's just an accommodation. They call it residence. I'm saying it to let you understand this is a hostel, because the mostly people understand when we say hostel, but this is exactly a residence, not a hostel, but provided by the scholarship office. So any student can live there, but it has to be allotted, and then you can cook your food, but there is no kind of food provided by the hostel. So that's all with the video about the accommodation, guys. If you have any much more doubts related to accommodation, feel free to text me. And we are close to getting to the 5,000 subscribers, so please like, share and subscribe to the channel. And my suggestion to have the hostel is about staying in the hostel is much more better. But if you want to live peacefully, have no disturbances, staying outside is much more advised.